Thank you so much for coming. It's a beautiful night out. It's important for both communities to be represented here, so thank you for coming. At this point, if we could stand, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you for coming. My name is Sandy Prince, Superintendent of Schools. Great to see everybody here. At this point in time, we will have the board members, staff, and our school attorney introduce themselves. Mr. Colby, let me start with you. Eric Colby.
Eric Colby, Wyndham.
Marge Gavoni, Wyndham.
Scott McLean, Wyndham.
Janny Cummings, Raymond.
Yep. Kate Briggs, Wyndham. Diana Freusland, Raymond.
Don Davis, Assistant Superintendent.
Pete Hensler, Finance Chair from Wyndham.
I'm Bill Stockmeyer. I'm the school district attorney.
Thank you. At this point in time, Article 1A, we need to elect a moderator to preside at this meeting. Are there any nominations on the floor?
I nominate Mike Duffy.
Second.
I nominate Bill Stockmeyer.
Okay, so we have Mike Duffy. And
I don't think she's serious.
okay, just want to make sure. So your nomination is Bill Stockmeyer.
Yep.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Kate. Are there any other nominations on the floor? If not, I will declare the nominations closed. And for the audience at this point in time, you will need to raise your hand. All those in favor of Bill Stockmeyer for being the moderator, please raise your hand. Thank you. Looks like you're the moderator. Bill, come on up and we'll swear you in. Raise your right hand. And repeat after me. Do you swear to support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Maine so long as you shall continue to be a citizen thereof and faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities the duties incumbent on you as a moderator of the Regional School Number 14 budget meeting on May 23rd, 2018, according to the Constitution and the laws of the state of Maine?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. If you're a registered voter, you should have a blue or teal voting card. If you're a registered voter and you don't have one, you'll need to go back out and see your clerk. Second, could I ask, if you're not a voter, could you just raise your hand for a second and identify yourselves? Okay, so those folks should not have and presumably don't have a teal voting card. That's how we'll ascertain that the vote is the correct vote. The people in the very back, that's fine if you'd like to sit there. I usually find it really hard to ask people to move. People sit where they're comfortable, but I do want you to be aware that the lights are shining this way, so you can probably see these people great, and there are lights on the front half, but not back there, so you're kind of dimly in the shadows. And we'll count your votes and everything, that's fine, but if you're raising your hand and I don't see you, would you just understand that that's probably why? Because it is a little hard to see, and so just be patient and shout out or something like that, okay? Great. I've already sworn in the ballot clerks so they can continue checking the voters, and I've also signed my oath. I took care of that before the meeting. Next order of business is to establish the rules of procedure, and I'm going to generally follow the rules of the Maine Moderator's Manual with applicable provisions of Maine law with a few modifications, as we do every year. First, any school administrative officials who are not residents who need to be called upon for their area of expertise to answer a question, we'll allow them to do that. to answer questions and explain that portion of the budget to the extent the superintendent or business manager or board chair needs their expertise. Second, we're going to say that there will not be any amendments to amendments. Now, that does not prevent anyone from making their amendment. I want to be clear about that. What it does prevent is if we have Amendment A to Amendment B to Amendment C, and each are dollar amendments, and some might be up and some might be down, we'll be sort of hopelessly lost on what we're voting for. So we'll act on an amendment. Once that amendment is acted on, the article as amended is on the floor. And if you then want to make another amendment, you're free to do that. And ultimately, at the end, we'll end up with a dollar amount that the majority of the people voting are in favor of. Everyone understand that? Great. And then third, by law, we will have a written ballot on Article 14. Any objection to these rules? Great. Now, in order to speak, you're going to need to proceed to the microphone, unless you're just making a motion. But if you want to speak on an article or debate or ask a question, you're going to need to use one of the microphones up here. Please tell us who you are, what town you're from, and what it is you'd like to say. If you have something to say, and this is just a suggestion, you might want to say, I'm speaking in favor, I'm speaking against, because. Okay? Very often people go on for quite a while, while half the people in the room are trying to figure out are they speaking for or against, and you might think you're being clear, but it can be hard to tell. So you might want to, this is just a suggestion, tell the group I'm in favor, I'm against, because, and if you wish to make an amendment, do that first or get second, and then I'll allow you to speak first on the amendment. All remarks must be relevant to the motion on the floor. Speeches are not permitted. If necessary, we'll limit people to 2 minutes per article. Questions should go through me. I will pass them on. The reason for that rule is this is not a deposition or cross-examination of any particular individual. You don't get to do that. You can speak to anything you wish to speak to, but in order to keep that from happening, questions will go through me. Try to alternate between those for and against so the group can hear from both sides, and no one may speak a second time on a motion unless everyone else who's wished to speak the first time has done so. Now, sometimes debate goes on for a while, and half the people in the audience are wondering why the moderator doesn't stop the debate. So I want to be clear that that's not my job. My job is to facilitate the debate. Who gets to stop the debate? That would be you. You're the voters. You can make a motion to cut off debate if you think debate has gone on. The way you do that is you say, Mr. Moderator, I move the question, or previous question. 2/3 vote on that, and cut off debate. Okay? So that's your job if you think debate has gone on long enough. Obviously, if you jump up and there's been no debate to move to the previous question, I'm going to rule you out of order so that there can be some debate and people can have a chance to do that. So the way we're going to proceed is Board Member Pete Hensler will provide a brief explanation for the budget. We'll take up each article of the warrant in turn. I'll read the article. We'll get an affirmative motion from a board member in a second. That way it will be on the floor. Again, there's no advantage to jumping up to ask for a different number. Once it's on the floor, it's just a procedural thing. You have an opportunity to make your amendment, and all of those will be fairly considered. So there doesn't need to be a race about that. After discussion, we'll vote on the main motion. If there's an amendment, we'll vote on that first. If the amendment passes, then we have to vote on the article as amended. Once an article dollar amount is decided, I'll proceed to the next article. I'll have you raise your color-coded voting cards to vote. If I can't tell the result, or if it's at all close, I'll ask the clerks to count. Now, the clerks have asked me this year, in order to count, they find it hard to count when it's like this. So if we go to a count, they're going to start in front, and row by row, they're going to ask you to stand up for the yeses, count you, and then sit down and go that way. And then they'll go through and do the no's. So don't be surprised, but the clerks have had a hard time counting hands before, so they've asked if we would try that method if we need to. But again, if we can just call it with a show of hands, we'll do that. So now I'm going to recognize Pete Hensler, the Finance Chair of the School Board, to provide a budget overview.
All right. again for coming out and showing your interest in the budget and exercising your right to vote on it. I'm just going to go on a high level over the budget for this year. Now, when we put together the budget, we always want to make sure that it supports the strategic plan of the district. And we always try to keep that in mind. As it says here, our budget is the tangible translation of our strategic plan into a practical action plan for high student achievement. The proposed budget for this year is just over $46 million. That's up $1.1 million from the previous year, 2.5% increase. Compared to last year, when we came to the meeting, we had a proposal for a 3.98% increase, 1.7%. So, while it's still an increase, it's smaller than what was brought last year. The budget, where the revenues come from, you can see the pie graph here. The biggest contributions are the state subsidies and the local share. All of these percentages are relatively the same as last year. The only difference is state subsidies are down about 2%, which translates into about a 2% increase in the local share. How the money is allocated. As you can see here, there's a lot to our budget. It's a lot of money, a lot of things to support. Again, the majority of the money goes to our regular instruction, special education, the primary things that are supporting what our mission is here. And again, these percentages are very relatively stable from last year. There's actually no material difference. Some of the challenges that we face, we always have fixed costs, what we call out the door. Budget is always a little bit higher just because of built-in contract requirements for our teachers and for our staff. We have natural gas and electricity increases. Recent legislation has had a big impact on our district as well. This has been over the past few years. We're being asked to carry the cost of the teacher retirement, the main PERS. This year that's $858,000, and that makes up close to 2% of our overall budget. Changes within the state allocation has taken money from our system administration. That used to be included in the ED Set 279 formula. That has been taken out in an effort to get districts and communities to work together to minimize costs. But that definitely impacts our budget as well. So just a recent trend. You can see that we're receiving less state funding. We received less in 2018 than we did in 2017. But the difference between 2018 and 2019 is significantly more. We're facing 1.1 less than the previous year. So despite these challenges, the RSU has done a great job of making the most of what we have. And this slide right here shows where we rank in relation to the state average on a per pupil cost, and where we relate to our surrounding communities. So we're doing a good job of making the most out of what we have. That's what we have.
Thank you. You should have received a document called the agenda for the meeting tonight. It has the warrant articles in it. You folks got that? I'm going to be reading from that, but before I do, just to explain the budget for those of you who find this complicated, which would be almost everyone. Like any budget, there's an expenditure side and a revenue side, and each side adds up to the total, right? So the total budget, which wraps up everything the meeting does, is your Article 15. That's the total budget. That's the amount that Pete mentioned. So where's the expenditure side? The expenditure side are the first 11 articles that we're going to act on. And if you whipped out a calculator and added up the first 11 articles, they would add up the total in Article 15. So what about the revenue side of the budget? Well, that's Articles 12, 13, and 14. And if you whipped out the calculator, you realize they don't add up to the total, and you wonder why. And that's because, as distinct from town law, under school law, this meeting only acts on the state subsidy and the local tax revenues. The miscellaneous revenues, carry forwards, the other miscellaneous amounts in that pie chart that Pete showed aren't acted on. They come into the budget as revenues, and they're part of the total budget. So we're going to act on the expenditure side, and the state and local revenues, and then the total budget, and a couple of miscellaneous articles. Again, I'll read each article in turn and ask for a motion. Article 1, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for regular instruction. School board recommends $17,948,701.33. Do I have a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 1 is on the floor. Any discussion of Article 1, regular instruction? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 1 carries. Article 2, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for special education. The school board recommends $7,617,204.89. Have I got a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 2 is on the floor, special education. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 2 carries. Article 1 carried if I didn't announce it. Article 3, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for career and technical education. School board recommends $3,315.79. Do I have a motion?
I move the article is written.
Do I have a
Second.
Article 3 is on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 3 carries. Article 4, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for other instruction. School board recommends $942,881.29. Have I got a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 4 is on the floor. Other instruction. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 4 carries. Article 5, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for student and staff support. School board recommends $4,574,541.66. Excuse me. Have I got a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Any discussion on Article 5, student and staff support? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 5 carries. Article 6, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for system administration. School board recommends $1,360,742.45. Do I have a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 6 is on the floor, system administration. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Teresa Sadat, Raymond.
I'm going to have to ask you to come to the mic. Thank you.
Teresa Sadak, Raymond. I'd like to make amendment to the motion in the sum of $1,210,742.45, which takes away $150,000 from that article.
Could you read the number again?
Yep, I can. $1,210,742.45, if my math is right. It's minusing out $150,000.
Your math is correct.
Second.
There's a second. Okay, so we have an article to reduce, an amendment, a proposed amendment to Article 6, which is system administration. The amendment would request a reduction of $150,000 from this article. Is there any discussion of the amendment? Okay, so see, yes, ma'am.
Jenny Butler Wyndham. May I ask the rationale for the decrease in $150,000, please?
Question's been asked. The person who proposed the amendment may, if she wishes, explain the rationale, or anyone else can speak if they wish to, but no one's obligated to, but welcome to. Okay. So, any other discussion? All right, so we're now voting on the amendment. If you're in favor of the $150,000 reduction, you're going to vote yes. If you're against the amendment, the reduction, you're going to vote no. Is everyone clear on that? All in favor of the amendment, please raise your cards. All opposed, please raise your cards. The amendment fails. We're now back on the original article for system administration in the original amount of $1,360,742.45. And is there any further discussion of the main motion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 6 carries. That's right. Article 7, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for school administration. School board recommends $2,647,263.99. Have I got a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 7 is on the floor for discussion. School administration. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 7 carries. Article 8, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for transportation and buses. School board recommends $2,542,133.79. Is there a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 8 is on the floor for discussion. This is transportation and buses. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 8 carries. Article 9, to see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for facilities maintenance. School board recommends $5,556,426.09. Is there a motion?
I move the article is written. Second.
Article 9 is on the floor. Facilities maintenance. Any discussion?
Teresa Sadak, Raymond. I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion, please. My math is not on here, and I apologize. And I'd like to drop that by $300,000, please. Reasoning behind this one is because we are an RSU.
Let's get a second.
Okay.
Is there a second first?
Second.
Second? Great. Go ahead. I recognize you.
The reasoning behind this is we are an RSU. We have buildings that are up in Raymond that could be used, but we are buying modulars or leasing modulars or purchasing modulars, whatever term you want to use. We are also not checking financially into leasing options regarding a facility maintenance garage. So I think we should start looking at what we have in our RSU first before we start building on other buildings to it.
Thank you. Any discussion of the amendment? The amendment is to reduce Article 9 downward by $300,000. That would take it to $5,256,426.09. Any further discussion of the amendment?
Hi, Jake Stoddard from Raymond. According to information I got from the superintendent's secretary, the school has lost about 6% enrollment since 2010. So I'm curious as to the reasoning behind the necessity of modulars if the school unit as a whole is also down enrollment. Furthermore, the new transportation bond that was put out was never voted on by the town of Raymond. If the RSU is going to pick up a portion of that, then I would think the town of Raymond should at least have a say as to if we wanted to bond the money or not.
Thank you. Any other discussion of the amendment?
I'm Jared Maxfield from the town of Wyndham. I would not support this amendment. The shared maintenance facility is a lease. It's an ongoing agreement that is currently going between the towns of Raymond and the town of Wyndham, allowing the town of Raymond to utilize the facilities in Wyndham and the RSU, which benefits the town of Raymond. The town of Raymond did have an opportunity to speak on this when they elected their school board members, and if I'm correct, the school board is who approved and pushed this forward along with the town of Wyndham taxpayers who are picking up the bill for this. There's also been research done in the town of Raymond regarding creating your own facilities. The cost analysis, the benefits that Raymond is getting from the RSU, oftentimes, in my opinion, benefited by the taxpayers of the town of Wyndham. I would support not this amendment and the RSU continuing the agreement that has, because it would be best for the RSU and also for the town of Raymond.
Thank you. Any further discussion of the amendment at this point? You ready to vote? All right, again, this is an amendment to reduce Article 9, facilities maintenance, by $300,000. If you're in favor of the reduction, the amendment, you're going to vote yes. If you're against it, you're going to vote no. So all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. The amendment fails. We're back on Article 9 as written in the amount of $5,556,426.09. Is there any further discussion on the article before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 9 carries as written. Article 10, to see what sum the regional school unit be authorized to expend for debt service and other commitments. School board recommends $2,486,458. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written. Second.
Article 10 is on the floor. Any discussion on Article 10, debt service and other commitments? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 10 carries. Article 11, To see what sum the regional school unit will be authorized to expend for all other expenditures. School board recommends $355,000. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
It's on the floor. Any discussion on Article 11, all other expenditures? Did you wish to speak or not? Did you wish to speak?
No.
Okay. Seeing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 11 carries. So that was the expenditure side of the budget. Article 12 is the article that qualifies the district for state matching dollars. I'm going to read the article, and you can see, just by way of explanation, the total of the state and local shares is this $36,701,899.34 figure. The total of the shares to be raised by the towns is this $22,639,265.04. This article is in the form the state requires. The state subsidy is the difference, the mathematical difference between those two numbers is the state subsidy, roughly $14 million, looks like. But that can be confusing because of how it's required to be written, so I just wanted to explain that. I'll read the article. To see what sum the regional school unit will appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and to see what sum the regional school unit will raise and assess as each municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, in accordance with the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 28, Section 15688. Again, the total appropriation recommended by the school board is $36,701,899.34. The total to be raised from the two towns, with each town's share shown there, the total to be raised is $22,639,265.04. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Article 12 is on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 12 carries. Article 13 raises funds for local debt service previously approved without any state matching dollars. To see what sum the regional school unit will raise and appropriate for the annual payments on debt service previously approved by the regional school unit voters for non-state funded school construction projects, non-state funded portions of school construction projects, and minor capital projects in addition to the funds appropriated as the local share of the regional school unit's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12. School board recommends $466,375. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Article 13 is on the floor. This would raise money to support previously approved debt service. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 13 carries. Now, Article 14 will require a written ballot. I'll give you the instructions when we get there. I'll read the article first. This is the additional local funds without state support, which completes the revenue side of the budget. To see what sum the regional school unit will raise and appropriate in additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 28, Section 15690, which exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model as set forth below, as required to fund the budget recommended by the school board. School board recommends $7,398,094.94. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Article 14 is on the floor. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we're going to need the clerks to count the ballots. And are you going to move one box to one side and one box to the other side, maybe, or how'd you like to do it?
People can split up and then maybe won't follow that. So part of the people can come down and go that way, and the other part can come down and go this way.
So I'd suggest come down the center aisle and go back on the side aisle just to keep traffic if it gets crowded. If it's not crowded, that's fine when you do it. So there was no discussion on this article, is that correct? Any discussion? Okay. So if you're in favor of the article, you have a written ballot with a yes, no box. Everyone have that? Do they have pencils? We'll give you pencils to vote yes or no, and you can now come and cast your ballot by dropping it in the ballot box. Oh, before you do, until this year, almost everybody folds their ballots. It takes more than twice as long to count if you fold your ballots. You're not required to fold your ballots. If you want to clap both hands over to keep it secret, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't. All I'm saying is it's going to go a lot quicker if you don't.
Doesn't matter. It's free form.
We have 2 ballot boxes, one on this side if you want to come this way. Shorter line. This isn't like those buffets where they only open up one side of the table. You have to walk down both sides. Has everyone had a chance to vote? If you wish to vote and haven't voted, please wave your hand frantically. I'm about to close the ballot boxes. Anyone else? Going once? All right, the voting is closed, and I've asked the clerks to count the ballots.
That's what you do with your words. I hope you went off the road. Actually, is that what they're going to do? They run you off the road? Weren't you their handpicked? Well, it's just good to know. Scotch. Scotch will help you. Champagne is probably
For Article 14, yes, 59, no, 25.
Thank you. So Article 14 carries. The vote was 59 yes, 25 no. Article 15 is the summary of everything the meeting just did, and then there are a few other important articles following that, and we'll move right through them. Article 15, to see what sum the regional school unit will authorize the regional school unit board to expend for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018 and ending June 30, 2019, from the regional school unit's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 28, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. School board recommends $46,034,669.28. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Article 15 is on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 15 carries. Article 16, shall the regional school unit board be authorized to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, provided that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Article 16 is on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 16 carries. Article 17 is the Adult Education Program. To see if Regional School Unit Number 14 will appropriate $645,691.34 for adult education and raise $295,086.51 as the local share, with authorization to expend any additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the adult education program. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Article 17, adult education, is on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 17 carries. Article 18 authorizes transfer to and expenditure from the Capital Reserve Fund. I'll read the article. Shall the Regional School Unit Board be authorized to transfer $645,000 from unexpended balances at the end of the 2017-18 fiscal year to the School Capital Reserve Fund, and to expend $645,000 from the Reserve Fund for the following purposes, in addition to the amounts the voters have previously authorized to be expended from the Capital Reserve Fund for this or other projects. The amounts are, and I believe these are estimated amounts: Jordan Small Middle School roof repairs, $225,000; Raymond Elementary School site work, $200,000; Wyndham Primary School fire alarm replacement, $25,000; Wyndham Middle School architecture and engineering design, $75,000; district-wide Americans with Disabilities Act improvements, $20,000; district-wide $100,000, and that's campus parking, sidewalk, site, and paving improvements, for a total of $645,000. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Article 18 is on the floor. Any discussion?
Teresa Sadak, Raymond. Can I ask the question of how much is in the actual school capital reserve fund, or your, I guess like for a town, it's an undesignated fund balance is what it is?
So the question is how much is in the school capital reserve fund, which is different from the undesignated fund balance, we should mention, but.
Thank you for that.
Take just a moment.
Okay. So you just said there's also, it's different from the undesignated fund, so they also have an undesignated fund balance too?
I'd have to ask them, but I'll take it as a question.
Could you kindly repeat the question, because I think I have a spreadsheet that may tell you.
The question was how much total is in the capital reserve fund, the total funding in that fund, either before or after that transfer.
Can I add a little clarification on that too? Is because I believe Don Davis had mentioned in one of the meetings that some money was being taken out to help offset the budget. So I'd like to know, because if you're putting that much money out of there, I'd like to know how much is kind of like put aside. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, I understand. Thank you. So it looks like the ending balance right now for the combined capital reserve fund is $991,442.98. And to the other question...
Could people hear that? No, not everyone could hear.
Thank you. So the ending balance as of today is $991,442.98 for projects that are in the capital reserve fund that the funds have yet to be expended. As to the second question, the district carries in the realm of 10 to 15% of its gross budget as an unallocated fund balance, although some are reserved for projects. So at this point, we expect to have in the realm of $4.5 million in unexpended fund balance, some of which will be designated.
Can I ask
further discussion? Before we get back to you, anyone else want to say anything? Go right ahead.
So clarifying, you're pulling out possibly $1.2 million out of a $4.5 million that's sitting there in a fund right now?
No, that would not be correct. The current balance for the carry forward is currently roughly $6.5 million.
So $6.5 million is what you have
currently.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 18 carries. The last article is Article 19. Do you favor the formation of a regional service center pursuant to an interlocal agreement for the Greater Sebago Education Alliance, as approved by the governing bodies of the parties thereto and the Commissioner of the Department of Education? Is there a motion?
I move the article is written.
Second.
Article 19 is on the floor. Any discussion of this article? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Article 19 carries. Sandy, am I correct that the voting is on June 12th at the for the referendum? Budget validation referendum? So this is the first part of the budget approval process. I've been asked to encourage everybody to vote on June 12th, which is the validation referendum of what this meeting just accomplished. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second. I will take that as a consensus.